Hi everyone, my name is Matthias Burke, formerly known as Still Strings. I suck at talking on the camera. It's been a long time and I only ever done a couple of short clips in the past. Most of my videos are just me playing guitar or showing something nature-based. But yeah, it's been a long time. And I wanted to do something like a tutorial or a lesson or something. And those things will come in the future. There's a lot of ideas that I want to share, a lot of things that I've just kept quiet. But I think today I'm just going to walk around, have a chat, and just talk really. So I started out making videos back in 2009, I think. 2010 was when I made that Bathory cover, A Fine Day to Die. And from there I enjoyed so much the response that I received. It encouraged me to do more, just to share the things I loved, just to share the skills I had. I really enjoyed tabbing those out, giving them to you, people to play, people to share, and it's amazing. Still, years later, someone drops a message and says that I still inspired them to play guitar. That's pretty incredible, that's awesome. So I really appreciate that and I thank you for that very much. I wanted to talk to you about failure and inspiration. Now, I've had a lot of failure across my life, but I've never taken it as something that means I should give up. I always see it as an opportunity to learn. But then I'm also what's known as an expert sabotager. So anytime things are going well for me, I tend to just blow them up. I will delete videos that have done well. I will run away from opportunities that could help me, people who want to help me. Anything that shows me succeeding in some way feels like an excuse for me to just disappear, basically. I always felt like the things I did weren't good enough, or I was wrong for doing them. So I would write a piece of music or an album, and then I would feel, nah, that's just stupid, you shouldn't do that. Even though I enjoyed it, even though I thought it was good, even if I had people across the world contacting me saying they liked it, give it a month or so and I would just disappear again. But I don't think any of us should be that way. Now, if it wasn't already kind of obvious, I'm a bit of a nerd, a bit of a geeky guy. I mean, I like that para metal. I grew up on Iron Maiden and stuff, and guys wielding swords and Lord of the Rings and all sorts of fantastical stuff. I spent a lot of time in nature, longing for worlds that don't exist. And these kind of things inspire me. I like to get into them. There's nothing wrong with them. And I remember distinctly. So one of my things is I like Warhammer, for example, as a downtime between music, painting miniatures, playing games. I remember going into this store where they sold all sorts of kits. I was on my own, just looking around. I was okay. And there was this guy, and he came in and he was showing his friend. And he took him round, and you could tell he was excited to share this hobby. And he takes him and he starts showing him, and the first thing he says, amongst all these amazing worlds of fantasy, imagination, inspiration and things, the first thing he does when he walks in is he goes, well, this is Warhammer, my ultimate failing. And it's like, how is it you're failing, you know? You're here doing something that you love, something that you enjoy. And yet the first thing you say when you show someone, when you try to share it is, this is my ultimate failing. And I remember just sort of feeling angry in this moment, sort of upset. Almost like this person was mirroring myself and the thoughts I'd had. And all I wanted to do was just turn around and say to him, there's nothing wrong with, liking what you like. It's art, it's fantastic, it's creation, it's a wonderful thing. But I didn't, of course. And I hope he's doing better and feels better about himself. So of course these kind of thoughts have crossed over into my explorations in music, the things I've done. So after 2017, I came away from the metal covers that I used to do, the transcriptions. I was playing classical acoustic sort of stuff, and writing a lot of my own compositions, inspired by all these worlds that I like. I remember writing this set of pieces about 4 dragons based on the elements. So it was like the earth dragon, the water dragon, and things. And I wrote a piece called Hoofprints as well, and that was like inspired by an autumn ride through nature, all the leaves and forests and things, that sort of stuff. And it did well, actually. I was believing in it, I was promoting it. I remember playing performances and receiving a very good reception. But this sort of fear, this sort of sabotage came up again, this fear of any sort of success, complete opposite of failure really, but sort of brainwashing yourself into believing that you are failing. And so I remember 2 very distinct incidents. I had just done a solo performance. It was all original pieces and arrangements and things. A fantastic reception. But the first thing I did after finishing was I stood up and I apologized. I actually said, "Oh, thank you for your patience." No, I didn't apologize. I just said, "Thank you for your patience for listening to me," as if like I was in the wrong, as if they had, sacrificed something fantastic, even though they liked it. And I remember the first thing I did after standing up, little bow and that, I went backstage and I hid. I just stayed there, even though afterwards people wanted to talk to me. Apparently there was some guy talking about saying, "Oh, why doesn't this guy have an album or anything?" And I remember my partner at the time, she had to tell people that, "Oh, he's okay, he just needs a moment," sort of thing. It's just crazy, I had a fantastic night, a really good reception. No one had said a bad thing. It was just all positive, genuine positivity, more than I could have hoped for on my own compositions, which is scary enough on a classical guitar when people expect. I remember coming in and people were like, "Oh, you're going to play Fernando Sor or Tarragro or something?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to play my own compositions." And it was a Spanish night, so that made it even more scary. People were expecting that sort of stuff, but it worked what I played. And eventually I did come out and talk to people, but you could sort of tell I was still afraid and things, and nothing came of it in the end. And then I got picked up. I had an Instagram channel that I was growing, and I got contacted by a representative from the BBC. And they said they wanted to interview me. They said the things I'm doing are very interesting. They often promote local musicians. And I thought, wow, here I am, like, used to be a bedroom guitarist, played a couple of performances, never really done much else apart from playing in the metal band years ago, like a very small time. And I remember them contacting me and they said, "Hey, do you want to come in for an interview? Just have a little chat, share your music." And I was like, "Yeah, of course, obviously, fantastic opportunity." That's one thing. I rarely ever said no initially. So I went in, and they usually have their musicians play live in the studio, but I was too afraid of my own performances. So I just gave them some pre-recorded tracks to play. And again, I remember sitting at the interview, and I didn't talk much about my music. I tended to talk about where it came from, but that sort of led on to the depression that I'd had, the anxiety that I'd had. And I remember saying to the person interviewing me, "Oh, I just thought I was like some sort of weird, ugly monster or something." And whenever he said, "Oh, this would sound lovely in a pub," or "This would sound lovely here," I'd be like, "Nah, no one's going to want to listen to that." I was so negative, disbelieving of things people were telling me. And eventually, in, I think it was end of 2019, I just sort of disappeared. I did have some bad things happening in my life. I lost some people close to me. And from there, I just disappeared, really. Everything that I had built, I just demolished. I would try and come back now and again with something completely different. It wouldn't be guitar most of the time. Usually something experimental that I keep on the quiet. And you know what? Even that did all right. Like I would always do what I wanted to do, but then I would do the most obscure ambient sort of stuff. It's like some sort of Celtic sounding things, dark ambient or whatever. And it got likes, people liked it, they bought albums and things. It's small time, but it was a start of something. But again, I deleted it. This absolute, what we call analysis paralysis situation going on. I was thinking, no, you know, because I love a lot of stuff. So I was thinking, I need to be a blues guitarist, or I need to be like a historical guitarist, or a classical guitarist, or a metal guitarist, rather than just being everything that I wanted to do and just being myself as an artist. And these kind of problems locked me up for years. I couldn't compose anymore. I couldn't create videos anymore. I couldn't be who I wanted to be anymore. I got stuck in places I didn't want to be in jobs I didn't want to be in the most stifling environments to me as a person. And I just sort of ceased to exist for a long time. And it took a lot of introspection and discovery and personal therapy, talking things through with other people, where I could get to where I am now. And just me being here, talking on this camera is proof enough that you can progress, that you can get back to a comfortable place. So I found my inspiration and I'm very comfortable with it. And that's okay. And I want others to be comfortable with theirs as well. And I want to encourage their own creations. For me, my inspiration is this. All these things you see around. Wilderness, nature. I feel like I should be up here with a horn of mead, which I might do at some point. Maybe we can share it together, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that, bring a guitar or something. I come to these places, it just envisions so many things that inspire the music that I want to create. Day or night, there's always something very special about being far away from the things that numb us, disconnect us from what's beneath our feet. So I'm walking back to the car now and I'm already telling myself in my head, that video is rubbish. No one's going to want to listen. Maybe that's true, it doesn't matter anyway. But it's just an example of these fears that constantly go through our heads. I mean, I see people with, I'm just doing this on a little cheap tripod, holding it like a selfie stick with like a Tascam, a really cheap Tascam, connected with a wire. So there's no Bluetooth mic here or anything. In my denim jacket pocket, so it's like really ad hoc sort of thing. And now I'm here thinking, no one's going to want to listen. Or your voice, it's awful. No one's going to want to hear that. It's going to be like nails on a chalkboard or something. It's just crazy, isn't it? You know, because it's not true, really. And even if no one listens, as always, I've just done these things for myself. And I think that's what everyone else should do as well. I think that's what if you're here listening to this video and you're thinking the same thoughts that I'm having, you should still do the things you want to do, because they make you who you are. They make you happy. And I've spent so many years being very chained as a person, chained to a desk, chained to a place I don't want to be in, chained to thoughts that aren't true, that don't really mean anything. So it's important that when you do get those thoughts, you just keep going. You just keep talking.